Just one question. You have an excellent manifesto, but my only concern is at the federal level, what plans do you have to reduce the national debt?
Okay, yeah. The national debt is quite interesting. It's not, I have to admit this, it's not chronic. Yeah? Of course, politicians from both sides will play down that it's very low. Politicians from the opposition will play it up to be very high. Okay? 55% is not that bad, actually. Yeah? When we look at Europe, we're looking at 120% of GDP. Yeah? It's a percentage to GDP. So in like Portugal, Italy, Spain, yeah? All these countries are going about 110, 140, and they're in chronic difficulty in terms of financial management. We are at 55, but this is masked by the fact that Malaysian government issues what they call Malaysian government-backed securities, MGS, and also they issue a lot of Kagamas and Khazanah loans and all this. And all these loans and debts are piled on into the government through the back door. Yeah? It's hidden through the back door, not as a national debt, but as a guarantee to debts of GLCs. And if you add those up, you're looking at about 700 odd billion. 700 odd billion. So that pushes up the thing to about 70%. And that is really a risky level. And we know it's a risky level because when we compare to other ASEAN countries are doing 40%. Indonesia, Thailand, they're about 40% to GDP, the debt level. And we want to bring it down to that level because a lower debt level, because the truth of the matter is in Malaysia, we don't have high social security. Yeah? If there's no unemployment benefits going around, the trade union has been suppressed for many years, so there's no social cost that we have to pay. So therefore, we should be able to manage the national debt to a good level. So our target is to bring it down to 40-odd%. There's two ways to bring down the national debt level. Because it's a percentage to GDP, you have to increase. If you increase the GDP, that means you create economic growth, the percentage drops as a mathematical instrument. Yeah? I hope I can explain this in the simplest term. So the maths come down, but more importantly, we have a program where we intend to divest GLCs. Divest GLCs means we're going to sell some of the core GLCs. There are 400 GLCs in Malaysia today. Important GLCs like Tenaga, which are what we call strategic GLCs, we cannot sell. Yeah? Even telecommunications to some level we shouldn't sell because these are strategic to national issues. Non-strategic is like MRCB, property developer. Right? Why is the Malaysian government getting involved in property development? So those kind of GLCs need to be divested. If we can divest about 300 of these GLCs, and we are targeting to divest 300 GLCs over a period of 4 or 5 years, we should reap back about 200 billion in cash. Yeah? When you divest the GLCs, you essentially sell it to the shareholders or to the management of these companies. They will take a loan from the bank, they pay the government get revenue in. We take this 200 billion, we will pare down the national debt. Yeah? We'll bring down the national debt to a manageable level to show that we have stability in the economy. And if there's a financial downturn, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia is actually quite critical. Our factories haven't been growing. We've been relying on two things only: oil palm, the 100 billion exports a year, and we've been relying on petroleum. Yeah, and petroleum is non-renewable. We don't know. We expect it to run out about 20 years, 15 to 20 years at best. But palm oil is renewable. But both are basic commodities. Our country, since the 1980s, when we started growing as a factory and FDIs came in, has regressed from being a productive nation to a nation dependent on commodities. We have regressed backwards. So if you don't pare down your national debt to 40%, and the prices of palm oil and petroleum drops, we're in deep economic problem. That is why if you have reserve and your debt level is low, we can withstand the shock because commodity prices are beyond our control. Yeah? Commodity prices are beyond control. Is the domain of what we call traders, commodity traders, bankers, producers, buyers. These are all beyond our control. So we have to prepare for shocks, and the shock may come right around the corner. So prudent management of economics requires you to bring down national debt level to 40%, And prudent economic requirement also requires you to have good reserves to withstand shocks. Okay. Next question.
I just want to ask, our foreign exchange, Malaysian ringgit against other currency, has been growing up to so low.
Now, the answer is quite boring, unfortunately. There's not a lot of corruption issue regarding the interest rate. Not the interest, the exchange rate. The exchange rate is a mechanism where the government uses the exchange rate to try to promote our exports. Yeah? Because we are not very competitive compared to, say, China, where their wages are lower, yeah? Where our workers are less productive. So the government uses the exchange rate, financial suppression of exchange rate, in order to give us a boost. That is why we have continuously come down in terms of value of the ringgit. Yeah?
But our wages are not high nowadays.
No, it is not.
Everything is
No.
expensive except for wages.
You're right, you're absolutely right. The problem with the Malaysian Productive Centre is we try to corner the export market by lowering our exchange rate. You understand? When we lower our exchange rate, our goods become cheaper to sell internationally. Ideally, we should be running a more productive, economically productive nation. We should invest in research and development. We should invest in productivity of workers. We should try to match education to also what the industry needs. If you own SME, you want to have good people, right? And the universities should all be aligned towards producing engineers and people who actually know what to do when they come out and go straight into the industry. You don't want them to be stuck 2-3 years to be retrained, clueless what to do. So in order to become an economic might, we cannot rely on exchange rate. What I'm saying, the government is using exchange rate as a mechanism to sell our goods. We should be able to competitive by the fact that we have higher productivity, we have better government planning, and not rely on exchange rate, because as the auntie here pointed out correctly, lowering exchange rate may help our industry to sell our goods, but it punishes all the citizens because we cannot go anywhere and our money has been devalued. You know? Okay? So the real solution is the monetary part, which is the exchange mechanism that the Bank and Negara is supposed to go after, shouldn't be used as it can be used, but as a last resort. The first resort is get our economy back in, get a new government that will address the real social economic issues, and then we can use the exchange rate as a buffer for economic hardship. Okay? Okay. Yep. With Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim, and he was education minister for quite some time, and he did give me some very good pointers. Okay. Managing expectation is essential in this change of government today. Yeah? I can tell you one thing. Within the first year, there will be a lot of political reforms. This is the key. A lot of political reforms, because those are the easy one, the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. Yeah? Political reforms means a freer media. Yeah? Human rights laws to be put back in, the difficult tough laws and Sedition Act and Police Act and all the nasty bits removed. The powers of ministers, which is across the board in all the legislation, to have discretionary discretionary powers to be removed completely. Yeah? So the political reforms will come first. Immediately, the day we take over, we will have to set a new stats department. Yeah? The stats department got to go out and work, and the Pemandu, we might retain Pemandu, or we might rebrand it as something else, but Pemandu will have to gather all the data and start analyzing them. Yeah? Once we gather data, that's how you make policy. You cannot make policies based on what I feel today or what is popular to you guys. We have to make policies based on real data. Yeah? Our commitment is that, because we're not going to screw around with your lives. You know, we're not just going to try and win another election. We really want to effect positive changes, and those changes can only come if it's scientifically driven with some social consideration. Okay? Now, education is a hot topic. I think in my last answer in the night before, the 2 nights before, I said that we'll be having a royal commission on education, remove all the politicians out of it. Yeah? You set up a royal commission, you bring in the educationists, you ask Dongzong to be respectful and perhaps step aside and don't get involved in it. Yeah? Then you ask the even the, what's his face, is it?